for as long as one can remember, the issue of caste has dominated Indian politics and been a critical factor in practically every election in this country. The latest state gearing up to go to polls is the southern state of Karnataka. Little wonder then that caste seems to be emerging as a major issue once again. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has raised the pitch for a caste-based census. He has demanded that the centre release all the caste data and also lift the 50% ceiling on reservations. Gandhi argues there should be a bigger quota for Dalits and tribals based on their population, and in his words, the underprivileged need economic and political power and not empty words. To reinforce his argument, Rahul Gandhi said only 7% of central government secretaries are members from other backward castes or OBCs, Dalits and tribal communities. Adding to that chorus, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi demanding an up-to-date caste census, saying social justice and empowerment programs are incomplete without such data. Let's not forget the Congress is not the first party to raise this demand. Bihar Chief Minister and JDU leader Nitish Kumar had a major disagreement with the ruling BJP over this issue when the two were alliance partners. Not only has he been demanding a caste census for a long time now, the Bihar Assembly even passed a resolution in this regard, and the state is carrying out a caste census of its own. Regional parties in Uttar Pradesh, the Bahujan Samaj Party and the Samajwadi Party too have lent their support to a census. The SP had promised a caste census in Uttar Pradesh in its 2022 election manifesto. In fact, party chief Akhilesh Yadav recently claimed that this elusive caste census will be an important issue for the 2024 parliamentary elections. BSP chief Mayawati had said in February this year that it was necessary for the centre to undertake a caste census across the country. Of course, it is election season and therefore a war of words is inevitable. Firing a salvo at the Congress, Union Minister and Karnataka MP Rajiv Chandrasekhar has claimed that the Grand Old Party actually wants to reverse the reservation provided to Vokkaligas, Lingayats and SC/STs by the BJP government in poll-bound Karnataka. The BJP government in Karnataka has scrapped the 4% quota for Muslims and divided it equally among the Vokkaligas and Lingayats, the two caste communities that constitute a majority of the population in the state. This decision has been challenged in the Supreme Court. The question we are asking is this: does India need a caste census? What impact could such a census have? Why is the BJP-led central government reluctant to undertake such an exercise as the opposition claims? And do caste-based reservations really benefit the backward communities that they are meant to help? Or are political parties the ultimate beneficiaries? Before we get into this debate, let's listen into what Rahul Gandhi said on this issue.
जब हमारी सरकार थी, यूपीए की सरकार थी, 2011 में हमने सेंसस किया था और पहली बार हमने सेंसस में सवाल पूछा था कि भैया आप ओबीसी हो, आप दलित हो, आप आदिवासी हो, आपकी जात क्या है? और पूरा का पूरा डेटा हिंदुस्तान की सरकार के पास है, मगर नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने डेटा पब्लिक नहीं किया है, छुपाया हुआ है। दिल्ली की सरकार को मालूम है ओबीसी की कितनी आबादी है हिंदुस्तान, अगर दिल्ली की सरकार किसी को बता नहीं रहे तो मोदी जी, अगर आप सचमुच में ओबीसी को ताकत देना चाहते हो, आर्थिक ताकत देना चाहते हो, राजनीतिक ताकत देना चाहते हो, तो सेंसस में जो डेटा है उसको पहले आप पब्लिक कीजिए कि देश को पता लगे कि इस देश में ओबीसी वर्ग कितना है, दलित वर्ग कितना है, आदिवासी वर्ग कितना है। अगर आप नहीं करोगे तो कांग्रेस पार्टी ये काम करके दिखा देगी।
All right, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi there raising the pitch on the issue of a caste census, which of course has been elusive for a long time here in India. What implications is this likely to have, especially in the run-up to the Karnataka polls? To dissect that, I am joined on the show by Professor Sukhdev Thorat. He is a Dalit activist and writer. Also with us is Anurag Naidu, a political analyst. And joining me here in the News 9 live studio is my colleague, Kabir Naqvi. Professor Sukhdev Thorat, if I could start with you, sir, before we actually get down to the nuts and bolts of what this may mean for the Karnataka elections, which are now around the corner, I want to ask you a larger question. What do you make of this sudden political debate that we're witnessing on the issue of a caste census, with Rahul Gandhi, no less, demanding that there be a caste census? He's even demanding that the 50% ceiling that exists on reservations be lifted by the centre. What we really want to understand from you, sir, is this. Do these reservations truly benefit the intended beneficiaries, or ultimately is it really political parties that are the beneficiaries of most of these reservations that often emanate from caste-based politics more than anything else?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It was Dr. Ambedkar provided a substantial data on the discrimination and deprivation of the scheduled caste and later of a scheduled tribe. So primarily the demand for reservation is based on the socio-economic condition of the scheduled caste. It is then taken over by a political party. They have their different point of view. You know that political reservation, there was a difference between Gandhiji and Ambedkar. Gandhiji went on a hunger strike, but finally there was an argument. So the prime issue always is that whether a particular community deserves reservation or not based on the data. That is the first. Politics come later on, if at all there are differences of opinion between the parties. But basic thing is that there is a problem exists and there is a justification provided based on data for reservation. Second, whether the reservation policy has helped to the deprived group or not, I think the answer to the question is yes, and big yes. The proportion of the scheduled caste in public employment, proportion of scheduled caste in higher education institution, and obviously the proportion of scheduled caste in legislature, in state and the center, is primarily because of reservation. We do not know what would have happened had there been no political reservation for scheduled caste. Whether they would have been there in tune with the population share of 16-17% or 4 or 5%. So after the withdrawal of the political reservation for the minorities, Muslim, their share has dropped down to 4% from their population share of 14%. We must know that there was a political reservation for Muslim and Anglo-Indian and Christian till 1950. So I think the reservation has helped and brought a mobility among the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, economic and educational mobility, and also share in the parliament. There are 82 MP from the scheduled caste, and there are half of them from scheduled tribe, and they constantly raise the question. They constitute the member of the committees attached to the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment and other ministries. So they always emphasize on the policies, and their suggestions, standing committee suggestion, come as a source for framing of the policy. So reservation in general has helped. There are limitations, obviously. For example, the reservation is confined to public sector only, which constitutes a very small proportion of employment, 80% of employment in private sector, and discrimination persists in private sector. Therefore, there is a case for reservation in private sector, and if there is a limited mobility of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, the reason is not the failure of the reservation. Reservation has helped. The reason is that very tiny sector of the population is covered under the reservation in public job. Same is the story with education. Today, we have 45% or half the university in the self-financing private sector. 67% of the colleges are in self-financing private sector. Similarly, the standalone institutes are under private sector, and there is no reservation there. So if at all there is a limited progress among the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, that they tend to be more illiterate, that they tend to be more poor, that they suffer more from the malnutrition, it is because that a very large section of the private sector is out of the reach of the reservation policy.
The question really is, where do we stand today as far as the issue of caste in this country is concerned, and is the demand for a fresh caste census legitimate? I will come back to you, Professor Tharad, but let me take that question to Anurag Naidu. Anurag Naidu, you've heard Rahul Gandhi and many other Congress leaders, in fact, leaders of regional parties, including Mayawati and Akhilesh Yadav, also saying that the time has come for a caste-based census. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, is directly attacking the government. He has said, Prime Minister ji, the underprivileged need political and economic power, not empty words. Take these three steps. Make the 2011 census figures public. Why are you hiding these figures, he asks. Tell us how many OBCs are there in the country. Remove the 50% cap on reservations. Give reservation to Dalits, tribals according to their population, says Rahul Gandhi. The question that the Congress is asking is, why is the BJP-led central government reluctant to undertake this exercise of a caste census? What is your take?
Neha, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. But I don't think any government, or any political party-led government is reluctant. And if you see the statement of Mr. Gandhi, what you read at the end is the most important part, that the 50% cap needs to be done away with. And that's the jumla for this election. And, it is nothing, in my view, it's a classic case of, electoral exploitation. And this will just nothing but will destabilize the electoral mood. Because if you have to understand, the last caste census, as they call, was done in 2011, and it was told by none other than Mr. Gandhi. And their party was in power. And I think by all means, if Mr. Modi government or the current dispensation of the day is not is reluctant, as they say, they can come again out with their own figure, because they are aware the figures and the values are well exposed to all the high command of the Congress.
Interesting dimension to this issue that we are discussing today is the fact that the BJP government in Karnataka decides to scrap the 4% quota that existed for Muslims, decides to divide it equally amongst the Vokaligas and the Lingayats, who, as we know, are the predominant communities in Karnataka. And that decision has now been challenged in the Supreme Court of India. It is in fact going to come up for hearing today. How is this likely to play out, especially in the run-up to the Karnataka polls?
I mean, just looking at Karnataka, the state, D.K. Shivakumar, a heavyweight from the Congress, he's come out and said we're going to take it back if we come to power. Muslims will get their quota back. Amit Malviya, on the other hand, the BJP going all guns blazing, saying how they've done the works that people actually wanted when Siddaramaiah was in power, and he was sleeping on all of those issues, all of those pending issues. He's put out a detailed version of it on his Twitter feed as well, what all they've done ever since 2018, in 2023 as well, in March, from the erstwhile 4% to 6% for Vokaligas. And Vokaligas and Lingayats, you rightly pointed it out. In the numbers game, it really matters, because community-wise, these are large pocketed areas in and across Karnataka, but the numbers don't add up to even 1/3 of the population